Hi, everybody. I am Dan.
I am Thomas.
And welcome to Mindwatch. Yay. So we record a couple days before the podcast drops. So this podcast is going to drop on February 16th of 2023, and it is February 14th of 2023. So Thomas, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Valentine's is such a fun holiday, but Thomas, we were talking earlier that sometimes this holiday is not as much fun for everybody as it is for everybody else.
Yeah. A lot of people, it was funny because I was browsing my Facebook earlier, and one of my friends, he made a post and he was talking about how Valentine's Day can also be seen as I think he said Singles Awareness Day or something like that. Because traditionally when you think of Valentine's Day, you think of, couples being in love and getting each other flowers or doing something for your family or something for a really close friend. But, some people don't necessarily have that luxury, and some people will be spending, time by themselves on this particular holiday. So we were thinking we could talk about how you could be comfortable with being by yourself and how you can learn to love yourself on this particular holiday. And kind of put a positive spin on it. So that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. And I think we can really segue into that for this episode.
I think it's a really important thing. So as you guys, know, on Mondays is our meditation Monday. So we have a new meditation that drops every Monday. So that means that yesterday dropped our new meditation. The meditation is one on loneliness. And the reason why I chose that is because of this holiday. But the thing is, I know, and I'm a teacher by trade, but I know that from talking or speaking with students and with speaking with other people, that holidays in general may not be the most fun time of year because they don't maybe have a family or they don't have a significant other. And it's hard because there's so many festivities. Like around the holiday time, it's nationwide when the highest suicide rate is.
A lot of people run into financial issues too. Like they want to buy gifts for people, but they can't necessarily afford it, kind of thing. So you start to feel bad. Like, oh my gosh, I wish I could afford to give, my loved ones something special on this holiday, but they can't because
They don't have it. Or they just don't have anyone to give gifts to.
Right.
I think that is something that kind of needs to be addressed because there's all sorts of advice that we can give to anybody, finding friends, finding connectivity in a community. But I think you kind of hit something earlier, Thomas. And for me, this is the hardest part of my mindful journey, if you will, my journey into mindfulness that I've been doing my entire life, is being your own best friend. That is, for some, for me, that's really difficult.
Yeah, because we're every single day, especially growing up, you live your life a certain way. And I think especially a lot of younger people, especially with how social media is nowadays, like our self-esteems are, down in the gutter. And we kind of have to teach ourselves how to love ourselves throughout the process. And we have to make that decision to do it, because you could either choose to sit and wallow in your self-pity, or you can take the more positive step and learn to, I think this was another Lisa quote, so I'm going to use Lisa. You're going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. That is the only person that you're going to be with the rest of your life. So you might as well learn to love yourself.
It's true. But okay. So I think everybody, even if you don't like yourself, I think everybody can agree with the concept of what you just said, right? Everybody can agree that, yes, it's a good idea to love yourself. We can all agree with that comment of no one's going to love you if you don't love you, right? Like if you're single, no one's going to love you until you can love yourself. So that's always out there. So how? And I think that's to me, I think one of the most difficult questions is how do you love yourself?
It's a really broad question, and I truly don't believe that there's one correct answer. I think it's different for everybody else. Some people discover ways of self-love through meditation. Some people discover self-love of taking classes like we did with the foundation course. So it really depends on the person, especially. And I think it's really tough to pin it down, but there's many things you can point to, kind of like what I just said with meditation and things like that, and taking steps in order to sort of like shift your mindset a little bit.
So I have a theory. And by the way, for those that heard the chime that was going off, that was Thomas's brother leaving for school. So
I actually didn't hear it, so
did you? Oh, okay. Because I was like, and I was just like waving at Nathan as the left. Nathan's in grad school and he's off to class. But okay, so I have a theory, Thomas. Just hear me out on this one, right? And let's see where we can go with this, because as I was thinking about this when writing the meditation, I record our meditations 2 days before they come out. So I recorded this week's meditation on Saturday. Today's Tuesday. So I've had like 2 or 3 days to kind of think and quell about this. And it's something that for some reason has really just kind of struck a chord with me. Okay, so how do you love yourself? What you said is right? Through meditation, affirmation,
mantras.
Mantras. I think always going out into nature to me is really connective way to kind of like feel yourself and to feel the area around you, the connectivity around you. But I also thought to myself that I can't learn to love myself until I know myself. And to me, knowing oneself is the hard thing.
Yeah.
So follow me on this. If I am like, I am me, I am Dan, but there's aspects about me that I don't like. Okay. If there are aspects about me I don't like, I may, one, not be aware of those aspects that I don't like about myself because I may have them buried. Two, I might be aware of those aspects, but because I don't like those aspects, I don't want to connect.
Yeah.
Right? Acknowledge, connect to those aspects. So that becomes, I think, the hard part, because let's say there's something about you that you don't like. Let's say, I'll just throw something, not silly, but I'll just throw something superficial out there. Okay. I'm 5'8". I'm not the tallest person in the world. Your brother's 6'2", right? It would be awesome if I was 6'2". I don't like myself.
I wish.
5'8", right? I know. Well, you're 5'9" at least. You're like a little taller than I am.
5'9.5",
Yeah, but there you
average.
go. But for a film actor, you're like the perfect height.
Yeah, I'm like the perfect height, so yeah.
All right. So let's say there's something about me being 5'8" I don't like. If I don't acknowledge my 5'8"ness and connect with the beauty of being 5'8", how can I love myself?
And it's what's funny is like throwing out there that you're 5'8". That's something you can't really control. Like you stop growing at a certain age, you're that height for the rest of your life. Some people shrink as they get older, but anyways, since you're gonna be 5'8" the rest of your life, and you have that awareness, you can start changing your mindset and look at the positive side of things of being just 5'8". And it's funny because there's a lot of tall people that I've talked to that wish they were shorter, because a lot of taller people are prone to like back issues or like knee problems because they're so tall, they're carrying all their weight in their joints. Whereas like the average height person has less, I guess, health deficiencies or health issues. So knowing the fact that you are going to be 5'8" for the rest of your life, you can choose a mindset of, I feel bad, I don't like the fact that I'm 5'8", or you can go in the more positive direction and say, you know what, I'm 5'8", I'm average height, I'm beautiful the way I am, and treat yourself with a level of respect,
Okay, so I think, again, you hit a point which I think we need to look at a little bit deeper, because I believe you and I believe that you're right. So you're like, okay, so if I'm 5'8" and I need to look at all the aspects of being 5'8", all the good things about being 5'8", but that's where I think the point is.
Yeah.
Because yes, height is superficial. And a lot of what we're talking about are way more in depth, but things also you can't change. You're born a certain way, right?
Yeah.
You're born with your DNA, you're born with your genes, you're born who you are, you're going to grow that way.
Yeah.
I think that's the aspect that makes it so difficult.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and I'm going to be like, okay, I hate that I'm 5'8" or that I don't have as much hair as I want, right? So, and we can sit there and we can obsess about these things. I think most of the time, obsessing about things like hair, height are things that we can see, but things go deeper.
Yeah.
And I think the things that we don't like about ourselves are at a much, much, much deeper core. If we can access that, look at that, and then appreciate those things internally, the height, the hair, go away.
I see what you're saying. So once you fully know, or at least to a degree, fully know who you are and what you are, then you can start to accept the things like, oh, I don't like my hair, or I'm 5'8". Then you can kind of accept those things for what they are because you now know who you are as a person.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes more sense now in my head.
Right. But
Yeah.
but it does. But I'll be honest, like Thomas, that's where I'm so sorry. That's where the work comes in, because it's hard all right, I am 55, you were 26, but I don't care if you're 14, 15, 16, 55. It's hard to do that. I mean, I'm still working on that, and I've been doing the work, right, for 30 years.
And one day we may never fully get to a point where we're 100% comfortable with ourselves or like confident in ourselves. But the important part is that we just keep doing the work and it just gets a little bit better each time. And that's the most important thing.
So
Small
how do
building
we,
blocks.
but ooh, that was wild. That was bad. Okay.
English.
English.
It's hard sometimes.
It is. So how do we do that? How do we do the work in this case? Because it is exciting to do the work. Where do you start?
That's a great question. Dang. I feel like there's not a correct, is there a correct answer or is there not a correct answer? Because everyone has their own path.
Well, see, that's true. And I don't disagree with you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there is a correct answer, but there's got to be a starting point for everybody. So let me give
Steer me in the
example.
direction. I think I can get it.
All right, so here's an example. Again, teacher, talking to a kid today who's like amazing. Like, this kid is so ridiculously cool, just smart, funny, great personality. Like, this is the type of student you're like, okay, this person's going to go out in the world and just make all these incredible changes. Like, whatever college this person decides to go to is going to be a better school. Whatever this person decides that he or she wants to do, it's going to be awesome. Like, the world will be better. But this person hates themselves. Like, it's easy for me as a teacher to be like, oh my God, I so wish I was like you.
Yeah.
Right? You're
It's
amazing.
imposter syndrome.
But I'm sorry?
Imposter syndrome?
It is.
Yeah.
So how do you cancel that? And how do you give that person, and again, this is just one student. This is everybody, regardless of ages, right? It is regardless of ages. We know that. Where do you tell this person to start? And it's really not this person, it's all of us.
Yeah, no, it's because we always, most of the time, will have a higher opinion of someone else than we would about ourselves because we can see the things that one person necessarily can't. So it's like, how do you show someone the qualities of themselves to them, you know? I think that's kind of like somewhere that you can start. I don't know if it's like mantras or I'm really stumped. I really don't know.
So I don't know if this is a stunt. So let's work this out together, right? Because we're just two people trying to help other people watching our vidcast, listening to our podcast. So Lisa, our mentor, and we always talk about Lisa, but it's Lisa Goodwin, lisagoodwin.net. She's amazing. We will always say, like, Lisa always will start with a walk in nature. I believe that that is true, right? I always believe nature can start us wherever we need to go. Feeling connection, feeling the energy of nature around us, I think is always a great place to start. But I feel that nature is a great place to start because I feel that we as human beings, when we are in nature, we're open to the universe. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like when we went for that walk, when we came.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, I was gonna bring up that walk that when you guys came to visit in the fall, it was crazy how much for a small amount of time after that walk, how much my mind just like felt incredibly clear. And all I was thinking about was just how divine that connection was between me and the trees and the earth and the soil and just everything around me. And you forget about all the beliefs and all these ideas that you have about yourself for a minute. So I think I don't want to see it as like a distraction from those thoughts, but it's almost just like this is what this could feel like to you if you start today.
But I don't think it's a distraction. I think that when you're in that setting, you're opening yourself up to go deeper into who you are. Okay, so go back to when we're on that walk, right? And we found the rock.
Yeah,
Okay, so for those of y'all that are, I think we spoke about this in another
we
month.
did because Nathan had his own rock.
Right, because Nathan, exactly. So, all right. So for those of you, this might be your first Mindwatch. If it is, hi. Okay, so we went on this incredible like hike, and it was beautiful. And we found this like rock that was like by far the most perfect meditation rock you could ever design. Like it was just flawless. And we all sat on the rock, and we just like were silent for like 10 minutes, and it was awesome. So I think that when you're in that situation, your mind is open for you to go deeper and to look at the parts of yourself that might be hidden. There were parts of me that were hidden until my mid-30s that I had no idea existed. Like literally, were buried so deep, I had no idea existed. So if we're going to get to those parts of ourselves, nature's a good idea to give us a space that we might be able to delve into ourselves to start exploring parts of ourselves that we might have hidden. Or if we know about it, to be able to explore those places and to connect with it and realize it, look at it, and be in touch with it. And maybe that start is the best way to start to get to know ourselves.
That's a good point. And what would you say, because I want to ask you this question, what would you say to someone who's in an area where they can't necessarily go to that? Because we were in a very scenic area. And we have access to lots of hikes where there's beautiful scenery and everything. What would you say to someone who's kind of stuck and doesn't really have access to that kind of thing?
Okay, so for those of you that listen to our meditation that dropped like the Monday before this drops, and if you haven't, it's just called Loneliness. So go and listen to it. But I talk about that. So to me, there is nature everywhere. So let's say that I'm in a city, okay, whether it's like where you are in Atlanta or whether it is a New York or Chicago or any big city. Every single city has a park. Every city has a park. I mean, if you're in New York, you've got Central Park, you've got Bryant Park, there's just so many different parks, and these parks are free, right? We went to Juniper Park, right? No, which park did we go to where the conservatory was? Piedmont Park, right? It was free. It was free to go to the park. I mean, it wasn't going to, the conservatory
Well,
thing.
they charge for parking, but that's Piedmont Park.
But there's other parks that you can
Yeah,
go.
no, there's other
And I
parks.
don't have to park in that parking garage either.
Right.
Okay. But there's always a park. So if you're in the city, go to a park. All right. If you're in the country, there's lots of parks. There's lots of open space. And if you're in the suburbs, you're outside. If you have a backyard, that's nature. And for everybody else, there's this incredible free app called All Trails. So if you open Ultra, and it's an app, it's free. You don't need the paid version, okay? Unless you're gonna go hiking like every single day,
Unless you, yeah, right. Unless you're like
right?
yeah,
Unless you hike like that's your living.
right.
For everybody else, there's like us, we go for a hike every now and then. All Trails, and it will tell you
How far it is,
right
how
where
long
the
it is.
closest trail is. So there's, there's myself who will say, if I don't want to do something, oh my God, well, I can't do that because nature isn't right near me. Or I can't do that because I don't live in Atlanta and I can't go to the mountains. So therefore I can't do it.
Those are blocks you
Ego
put in front of
mind,
yourself.
right?
Yeah.
That's your ego mind that is trying to block you from doing something strong and doing something powerful.
Yeah.
But Thomas, to me, that's, I think, where everybody starts. And
Yeah.
I think it's always great to find a space and to be quiet with diegetic sounds of nature around you. Or if you're like, I just don't feel like going to nature. Hey guys, there's sound on your phone. There's nature apps. They're all free.
Soundscapes all over YouTube.
Right. And they're all free. The only thing I caution against YouTube is because commercials come up and you're in this great space and all of a sudden blaring. And don't forget to do this. Oh my
Very,
God.
very true. One time I was just reading in my living room and I was like, let me put on some nice like background ambient music, right? And I was reading my book and just like out of nowhere, it was Whopper, Whopper, BK Whopper. And I was like,
and it like pulls you out,
it
right?
kind of like took me out of it a little bit. I was like,
So unless you're a member of like YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Like a paid member. But anyways, there's all these free apps with water sounds and beach noises and forest noises. And if you just sit there and literally look inside and start to explore, here's the thing I will tell everybody. And I've said this to you, and I've said this to your brother growing up. Every single thing about you is not hidden. If you look hard enough inside, your gut instincts will tell you everything you need to know. If you feel that tightness, from me, it usually comes either in my throat or my stomach. You feel that tightness, go to that tightness, focus on that tightness, and something will pop.
Yeah.
And the thing to look at before you even go into this is you're already perfect. And I think that's the message. You're already no matter what it is that you discover, whether you know it or you don't know it.
Yeah.
You are perfect. You're the way that you were created. And that's, I think, at least being in touch with your internal true self, to me, is a start on this path. I think it's just a start.
You know what's really cool is, I've texted you about like my acting class that I'm currently taking. And towards the end of class, my instructor will actually do like a little bit of a meditation. And it's really, really nice. And I was like, it just got me thinking about mindful me and like our whole purpose here and what we want to do and things like that. And what she said really struck me to my core about correlating being at peace with yourself and being an actor is because going back to what we were talking about before, acting is acting truthful under imaginary circumstances. So as soon as you become comfortable with who yourself and eliminate any kind of or negative beliefs that you have about yourself, then that realism, when you do perform, will come out and people will see that. So I just like that just popped into my head. And I was just like thinking back to class and like this really just correlates to what we're thinking about. So
I think you're right. I do. And I think that's honestly, Thomas, that's a perfect way to end this conversation as a start. I think it's something that Mindwatch will definitely come back to. Please go listen to the meditation on loneliness that dropped a couple of days ago. And if you're watching this, like, and it's not in real time, just go back to all of our past meditations. I think it's also a good place to start. And it's something I think, Thomas, we can definitely come back to in future podcasts.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot that we can explore with this particular topic because I definitely have more thoughts that I want to put out there. And I need to finish meditation so I can kind of relate that to this conversation as well.
I agree. And it's something you and I can explore together before we come, onto our podcast.
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, thanks for allowing us into your space. Thanks for, going on this journey with us, because I think it is an important topic. And I just think it's important for all of us as human beings to kind of get in touch with this. So, every Thursday, a new podcast drops. We've got 4 right now running on Mindful Me, and next week will be TBH. And then actually, no, next week I think will be Ben and Bren, and then TBH. Then a little note to yourself. So, some great stuff coming with great messages. Every podcast is different, every podcast has its own feel. So, please subscribe. If there's things that you want Thomas and I to talk about, just send it through an email, send it in the
Yeah, give
comments.
us a suggestion. We always love suggestions. So
We really do. So happy rest of your day, everybody. We look forward to seeing you again. Thomas, we will talk, and thank you guys very much.
yeah, thank you guys, and see y'all in the next episode.